Hello and welcome to today's episode of Rev Folklore Reviews. Today we'll be taking a look at Litourgiya and the problem of too many Batushkas. Batushka is an Eastern Orthodox inspired metal band out of Poland, founded by Krzysztof Drabikowski. Some unique things about this band are the use of Slavic Old Church style chants, and also the use of High Church garb and presentation. The band's name Batushka roughly translates to father, or a generic term for priest. As someone who is personally very interested in presenting tradition and ritual through performance and art, when I found this band online, I was very excited. And right away, as soon as I could, I ordered their first album from Russia and had it shipped over. And ever since then, this band has been part of my regular music rotation. Sadly, it's hard to talk about this band without talking about the controversy surrounding them. But before I get into that, I'd like to briefly talk about their debut album, Litourgiya. Litourgiya, or Liturgy, is an 8-song album that combines elements of Orthodox chants with black and doom metal elements. An idea that I don't believe has ever been fully implemented in a band before. Krzysztof composed and recorded a bulk of the album by himself, as well as painting the album art and coming up with the general concepts. This album has a bit of a dark and somber tone to it, with chants being wonderfully integrated into the mix. They sit well with the screaming vocals and the rest of the instrumentation. There's also some interesting chimes, bells, and percussion elements of the album during quieter moments that give it a feel of something happening. Also, I love the guitar tones on this album. There's just something so cold and unique about them during the quieter parts, and so grand on the heavier parts. Overall, this is a very fresh and exciting release for me, and I couldn't wait for the follow-up album to come out, or for them to go on tour for that matter. And then, only about a year after discovering this band, I found out a follow-up was indeed on the way. I was excited, but that excitement quickly gave way to some confusion. A new single popped up on YouTube. It's just kind of a simple video with an altar piece or an icon surrounded by candles, and the music sounded amazing. I listened to it several times and wondered how long it would take for a CD to come out. Then just a couple days later, a new single came out with a slightly different image for the artwork, and I gave it a listen. I immediately noticed that the production sounded very different, and I was a little bit confused about the different artwork. Then I came across a video of Krzysztof explaining that the band had more or less been hijacked. At some point during this time, the vocalist and the drummer that he had brought on to help him finish recording the first album had gone and started another band with the same name and recorded another album. But anyway, it's been a while, and I decided to give both these albums a fresh listen. The first of these two new albums I'm going to talk about is the album called Hospadi. It's from a band that a lot of people refer to now as Batushka. This is the band that signed to Metal Blade Records. And this is also the band that was founded in secret by the vocalist and drummer who left the original band. Overall, this is not really a bad release. It has a much cleaner sounding production quality to it. And a couple of songs really remind me of songs that go with the first album. Some of the problems I have with this album, setting controversy aside for now, is that it doesn't really sound like the same band for the most part. This album has a little more of a metalcore feel to it. Kind of reminds me of a weaker release from a band like maybe Zao. Almost like if one of the lesser Zao releases just decided to, implement some chants over an existing mix. By the way, listen to some Zao. It all just feels a bit more generic to me. The arrangements and tones are very different sounding from the original. The chants sometimes work really well with the songs and sometimes just feel like an afterthought. They figured out a way to mix into things. Hospadi really isn't a terrible release. Just feels a little bit more like a metalcore-ish version of the band, with some more money behind the production. The second album I'm going to talk about here is an album from called Panikhida. It's from the original creator of the band, Christoph, and I have to say this is much more what I was hoping for from a follow-up album from this band. Those great guitar tones are back, the arrangements feel similar, the chants, to me anyway, seem to fit a lot better with the feel of the songs. In my opinion, this album feels like it has a bit more of a bite to it than the original did. The drums have just a little more blast to them at times. The vocals get a little more aggressive in some of the moments. The production of this album is a bit rougher sounding than Hospadi, but it does sound a little bit closer to me to the production on Litourgiya. Another note on Panihida is that it seems that there may be a little less consistency in the screaming vocals than there was on the original. But overall, this is a return to the doomy black metal sound with the orthodox chants that I was hoping for on a follow-up album from this band. And if things weren't confusing enough having those two simultaneous releases from a band of the same name, there's some more bands in the mix. Most notably that I've been able to find out of bands who have jumped aboard this train is there's a band from Russia, and they made the statement when they released 2 albums under this name. They made the statement, "A true Batushka band formed by Orthodox priests from Russia. We are not some bunch of LARPing posers, but true Christians, comparing to some fake LARPers who can't even spell the name correctly. We stand against Satanism or mockery of the Christian religion in any form." I decided to give that band's 2 releases a listen, and they're mostly instrumental, just a couple vocal parts really sporadically in there, but it's really overall instrumental albums. And it's really not bad. It's very different, but all 3 of these bands sound different from each other to me. This band has a bit more of a post-hardcore or atmospheric metal sound to it. Also, their album art on one of her albums has this Wolverine Mary thing happening on it, so there's that. So in conclusion, I really hope they get this whole thing sorted out. I would really like to see Christoph's band get a wider physical release with the new album. I'd like to either see that, or I'd like to see like a dozen new bands under this name show up and just take over the world with these Batushka bands. Anyway, both bands have plans to be playing live. I don't see either of them really backing down at this point, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But anyway, time will tell. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a terrific day. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, because after all, you have free will. Might as well use it, because I told you to. Have a good day.